my name is Alexandra, and today I have the pleasure to share with you my research project entitled The Gender Dilemma: Can Our Past Inform the Future? And today I will be looking into gender differences in performance and engagement levels of BSc economics students. But before I go into my findings, I'd like to share my motivation with you. So when I joined the LSE 2 years ago, I was joining this course as a PPE student, but it clearly became apparent to me that I'm mostly drawn to economics out of the three disciplines I have been studying at that point, and I have transferred into an econ degree. But what was fascinating to me was how different my in-classroom experience has been now, that I was in this department with very strongly male skewed gender ratio. I became very much more conscious of whatever I was saying in the classroom, and I would only speak up when I was very confident. And my friends, my female friends, whose lovely faces you can see in here, would often confirm that they have been having similar experiences. So I wanted to investigate this feeling in a more rigorous manner. I was very lucky to get a really cool data set on the performance of over 4,000 BSc economics students over the last 19 years. And what I managed to learn were their exam scores from all of the modules they have ever taken at LSE. And I also got background information on them, such as their socioeconomic class, year of study, year of entry, the number of econ modules they were taking out of all of the modules they were taking. And of course, I also what their gender was. So here you can see my data from Stata, in which I was working already after I have cleaned it a little. So here I have collapsed the data in such a manner that every student would have maximally 3 entries for each of their year of study. And I would have the mean score for each of them from all of econ ratio, which is the proportion of all of the modules they took that were econ module. But before I go into sharing my main findings, I'd like to share with you some of my summary statistics, which I also think are very interesting. So what is the proportion of females amongst the econ by year of entry? So as you can see now, it's 30-something%, which is worse than what we had 20 years ago. This number, this ratio has been varying among the past 20 years, but it's never been 50%. And then when we look at who actually these females are, then we see that the majority of them are Chinese. So were it not for the Chinese female econ students, then this ratio would have been even more skewed. Now, what you see here is the mean comparison of exam performance by gender. While I was controlling for individual levels characteristics that were observable to me, such as ethnicity, socioeconomic class, and the kind of modules that were taken in a year. And as you see here, it would seem that females are performing worse than males on average. However, this is not true. Don't take this result at face value. Later, I have created a second model where firstly, I was controlling for unobserved individual characteristics that might be guiding students' behavior. And also I was controlling for the fact that exams were happening for different academic years. So once I controlled for these fixed effects and restricted the data to look only at econ modules and not all of the modules taken, I actually found that females were on average doing by 9 marks better than males. And I used the method called panel data analysis. So this was a little bit of a stop moment for me. And I was thinking, how is it possible that females are doing better when it comes to their exam scores, but from anecdotal evidence, I would know that they have some hardships while participating in the classroom. I thought that they might be overcompensating it in some way, for example, by having different study behaviors. In order to be able to answer this question, I created a survey in which I was asking two kinds of questions. Firstly, I wanted just to get the raw numbers of how many hours on average do female and male students study, but I also wanted to see how comfortable they are when they are in the classroom and when they speak up. And what I have learned is that both females and males report similar amount of hours per week that they study. However, females think that they often say that they think that they speak more than other people in class, whereas males don't necessarily do so. While simultaneously they claim that they feel less comfortable when they speak and less comfortable to express their views and opinions freely. So here it's more difficult for them to do so, but they still do it. And they find it difficult to be in a department with a gender skewed ratio, but they still perform better. What I need to note here, however, is that by circulating my survey in the departmental newsletter, I have only been able to collect 15 answers, which doesn't really make the second part of my research statistically significant. And my recommendation and how I would like to take this research further is to talk to the Eden Center when they will be circulating a school-wide survey, which has much higher response rate next year. And hopefully they will be able to include some of the questions I have already asked to test these hypotheses even further. Thank you very much.